Right, time now to get interactive, and Aisha is going to take charge of that. Good evening to once again, Aisha.
Good to see you again once again, Israel. It's time now to take your views, comments, and suggestions on the most interactive segment on Joy News Prime. Now, stand by with all your gadgets, enjoying the conversation. In fact, it's the biggest conversation around this time. And join us on facebook.com/Joy News on TV, on twitter.com@Joy News on TV, and on WhatsApp. The number is 0560-800,000. Please send your name, location when sending that message, but please don't call. All right, so we're getting the rules clearer. Don't call. Send your name and location while sending that message. Then I can read your message. All right, so let's start with the Ghana Police Service. It says that it is considering shutting down social media services in the country on November 7, the day of the general elections. According to the IGP, John Kodalo, the abuse of social media platforms by both political parties and ordinary Ghanaians has often created unnecessary tension in the country. So let's hear what you've been saying about this proposal.
I think that freedom of expression is a fundamental human right, and it seems like it would be in the best interest of the country to tone down any sort of expression that could be inflammatory and cause trouble, but I don't think that a ban altogether is any way to solve the problem. I mean, if you look at something like the Nazi Party, I mean, initially started with a ban on freedom of expression, what you could or couldn't say about the Third Reich and about Hitler and all of that. And then it quickly spirals. I mean, who's to say that after the elections they won't continue to ban freedom of expression? You know, it's a step in a direction that I'd rather not go into. I'm not in favor of it at all.
Some of the youth can post certain things that maybe it will affect the election coming on. So I think maybe what the man is saying, he's right, because you need to put a stop to it, so that after the election you can continue with the social media.
Shouldn't ban at all, because it's good for us, because it makes everything easy to us, so that we can know what is going on. If not, so the media will be too easy for us, so that if anything we can send to our friends, so that we see what is going on. It will make the election peaceful, and everything will be nice to us. That's what we want.
I think it's dicey. On one hand, it's for the good of Ghana. On the other hand, on the back of we craving and all calling for free media, right to information, you think that it might stifle that our call for democracy. But then we must weigh the pros and cons.
I don't agree with the proposal he's making, because there are a whole lot of information which are sent across on social media. And besides, there are no law which bans the use of social media. Because if I have to send an information to a friend or say a relative outside, I have to access the social media. So you banning me from that or preventing me from accessing the social media will go a long way to affect me.
Why should you ban social media? Social media is just like something normal. Why, if you ban social media, it doesn't change anything. People will still see what they want to say.
So on Facebook, we have quite a number of messages coming in.
I'm going to be going through. So Sebastian says, for what are our crimes? The use of the social media on election day does not pose a threat to our national security at all. It is up to the security agencies, who demonstrate professionally and well balanced. So does the EC. It is indirect way of denying our sources of information, means that radio and TV shows are not also relevant, because we get our credible information from their website. Peter Asem Kobe says, what scientific research went into this conclusion? I believe the police can do better by safeguarding the people, election materials, and EC officials. We must also admonish the EC to ensure free, fair, and credible elections. Political parties must also understand that Ghana is bigger than any of their political ideologies. Civil society and the people of Ghana should take a strong stand for peace. Ghana police, give us a break. Mashoud says, why not go ahead to close the planet, or better still move us to a different planet, and after the election you then decide whether to bring us back or not. There will be more risk and security issues with social media shut down. than when it is working. The world is growing and social media is the order of the day. Shutting it down will be a plus on his legacy as shutting it down would be a plus on his legacy as an IGP. I'm not sure exactly that's what you mean. Downfall, Isaac says, I mean, support of that because of for the peace of the country. One day sacrifice of social media, right, will not be too much for entire peace of Mother Ghana. And then Isaac Edusa says, oh please, what has the social media done this time? The social media is just a smart way of sending information. The faster we can send information, the more useful that information becomes. Is IGP saying if Ghanaians are able to communicate faster and effectively on the election day, there will be a problem? If you didn't know, we were Yahoo messaging long before year 2000, and Ghana has had peaceful elections ever since. So that's those are some of your comments. Okay, and then we also have Prosper says, I have never heard anywhere that somebody shot someone through social media. So what is the IGP saying? Is he not aware that now journalists rely on social media in getting their information? What crime has he heard that social media caused during the election? I'm sure that's what you're trying to say. Eridax says, we're not in Uganda where police and government can maltreat people. Is he the only IGP who is witnessing election? Andy says, this IGP is not serious crap. Where in the news did he hear a gun being fired on social media? Instead of concentrating on how to deal with illegal arms in the country, you're here thinking of deactivating what? You guys should try and foul play in this election, and you surely hear from with the unemployed youth. So
on WhatsApp, you can't imagine, the messages are just coming in, they're just popping in. This one is from Charles Nicholas. He says, IGP should leave social media alone. This one says, Aisha, social media is another source of information, so banning it is an infringement of human rights. This is Rufai from Karachi. And this one is saying, blocking social media during the election will not change anything much. What we need now is prayer and good behavior. That's coming from Akis from Navrongo. This is Freddie Bless from Freddie Bless. You didn't add your location. He says they should think of something else and stop this. That's what Freddie is saying. This one is saying, how will that solve the problem? How much is the police service going to pay us who use it for business? Besides IGP, give us a break and please think of something better. This is coming from MC Tony from Ho. And you can't imagine the messages coming. You also didn't add your name. It says he can't do that unless his suggestion is backed by law. Okay, so let's move on to another interesting topic that's been trending. I mean, since yesterday, former Ghana Black Stars defender John Pentel was all over the news because his marriage life had taken a downturn. He has been granted bail after he was arrested for stealing his wife's car and assaulting a police officer. Well, so the question we asked is, how would you resolve a marriage problem? Would you bring in a third party? I mean, consulting a third party, does it mend or break?
Depends on the person. So if the person doesn't mind a third party being brought in, fine, I'll do that, because sometimes a third party is necessary to be able to resolve the issue, especially if that person is well respected, the other person really respects that person.
I think it's always the best to talk to the person involved personally and then try to sort out issues between the two of you. And then if it doesn't work, then you consider maybe bringing in somebody that both of you respect. That can also help solve the problem.
I believe in communication. So I'll first resort to trying to solve the issue with my partner. Now, if the person that is my partner is able to communicate with me for us to be able to get to the root of the problem to see how best we can resolve it, then I believe that will be the best option to go for. But in the case where she doesn't see eye to eye with me, maybe issues I bring up, she happens to disagree with it, and all efforts to be able to resolve it with her becomes futile, then I would have to resort to bringing in another person who I believe is much resourced or she has much respect for him to intervene and then be able to bring a solution to that problem.
When you bring in a third party, the person, you may not be able to explain the situation well to the third party, and the third party may take it on a different aspect. Yeah, without explaining it well, or when he or she comes in, you may not be able to explain it well for your partner to understand how you were feeling to solve the problem. Yeah, so it could bring in constraints between you and your partner.
All right, so those were views from the streets of Accra, and on Facebook we posted this. Israel, do we have some messages?
If we're going to have that one pulled up in a bit, but wait, let's take some WhatsApp messages.
Okay, so let's take some WhatsApp messages. This coming from Ketechie Sly. He says, third party, interesting. The third party will end up proposing to your partner. Really? Is it an experience you want to share with us? And this is from Teku. And he says, there's no need for a third party in marriage chaos. They should resolve their own thing privately. Ghanaians like talking about what does not concern them. What concerns one man concerns another. Have you forgotten about that? And this one is just asking a question. Third party? That's what he's asking. He didn't add his name and location. Papa Tieku from Koforidua says, John Pencil is suffering from the effects of marriage gone bad. It is always not good to bring in a third party in marital issues. Couples must do their best to settle their issues. And this is from Papa Tieku from Koforidua. And from Kumalo says, how can your husband steal your car? Have you forgotten the two shall be one? Oh, women. Woe unto men. Violence can break out in a localized place, not in the
right. Let me come to Facebook, and we have some comments here. Justin Akpo says, God is enough for me in times of difficulties in my marriage. I may not know the spiritual background of those marriage counselors or the pastor. Most people only counsel you on sex aspects in the marriage as if that's the only thing that goes on in the marriage, while there are lots there to educate the young ones about. Even I'm sorry, please, and thank you alone are great medicines even in the marriage. Hanny Morris says, never. I always tell my dear never to let us extend issues to the next day, no matter what. So whatever happens, we kill the pride, bury the shyness, and then solve it right there. We've been like this for years, so right now no issue is even an issue between us anymore. And then there Simon says, it depends on the kind of mutual relationship that exists between couples. I think it should first be settled between them. For if you can't solve your own problem, no one can do that for you. Dixon Wayanu says, I will always consult God first through prayers, then my pastor or marriage counselor, and then my parents. Consulting friends can be very dangerous and misleading, but unfortunately that is what many people do. They end up rather breaking up the marriage in the process. And Isaac says, marital problems are not different from any other issues, but it must be taken care of properly. The main parties to resolve the issues are the couples, and it can be done perfectly if both parties understand self-mediation. When self-mediation breaks down, then the third party impartial, such as a mediator, can come in to resolve dispute amicably. Let's take the WhatsApp comment.
So, Israel, before I take the comments, let me ask you, would you bring in a third party?
Well, it may be necessary to bring in a third party at some point, but I mean, for most of the issues that come up in a marriage, I think the parties themselves and the two parties should be able to resolve it without bringing in a third party.
Any third party, of course. If it becomes a habit, then you can't do anything by yourself. You always need a third party to resolve your issues. This one says, it's coming from Abindao from BBN. He says, the third party is an evidence to end the marriage, but not to bring it back. It's not always the case. Sometimes they help a lot. Okay. So that's it on marriages. I know you want to say more on marriages, but we'll get back to this topic sometime next week. Let's move on to a research that was conducted by GN Research in Accra. It has revealed that 81% of hotels within the capital are without websites. As a result of this, travelers are not able to review or access their options when they visit. What do you make of this research? Would you be worried if a hotel you visited didn't have a website?
For me to even visit you, I must have prior information about you. I must be well informed about how much I'll be expected to pay. It should be such a hotel that can be accessed so that should there be any problem anywhere, once you give the location, it can even be assessed if there is a fire outbreak and I'm there, and maybe I have an access to a phone and I tell somebody I'm in this hotel. The person should be able to access the hotel online, know the location, and come there and probably rescue me.
It's very, very, very serious because it means there's no market for us. Yes, and we here in Ghana always talk and complain about, not getting a lot of market. So for me, it is a rather unfortunate one. And I think that it means not being able to get market, especially international market.
It's really a sad situation because now today, technology is the order of the day, and then businesses thrive on technology. And we see that the world is now a global village. So if you have a situation where 81% of hotels in Ghana do not have websites, then it's a very serious situation. And I don't know what such hotels are doing. They'll be out of business. Because you cannot do business in this technological world without having a website. I don't think it's a good business practice, and obviously they're out.
I think a hotel not having a website, you the individual going to that hotel, you are not safe enough, or I can say you are not safe at that hostel.
All right, so that's where we draw the curtains on Journeys Interactive. Israel, you want to say something?
Oh, no. I don't have anything to say today.
Okay, so I'll meet same time tomorrow, and you know there's a lot to talk about. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Good evening.